Welcome back. The woman at the centre of the Malaysian diplomat sexual assault case is calling for Foreign Minister Murray McCulley to resign. Tanya Billingsley spoke exclusively to TV3's Third Degree programme last night, expressing frustration at the way the case has been handled by the government. Last week, McCulley and Prime Minister John Key appeared to blame foreign affairs officials for the diplomat's return to Malaysia. Joining me now is Otago University international relations expert, Professor Robert Patman. Robert, Tanya Billingsley said, 7 weeks was an unacceptable amount of time for Murray McCulley to do nothing, and he didn't do his assessment, didn't do his job properly. Is that your assessment?
Well, it is puzzling because Mr McCulley and John Allen, the Chief Executive of the Foreign Ministries, said until the story broke on the 30th of June, there was a 6-week period where they hadn't really monitored the situation. But the government also said that from the outset of the crisis, they had made it clear that they would prefer that Mohammed Rizalman, who was responsible for the attempted burglary and attempted rape against Miss Billingsley, he made it clear they wanted to bring him to justice. And I think here what's puzzling is that we need to be absolutely clear about the respective roles of the Foreign Minister and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. The Foreign Minister and the Prime Minister, as well as the Cabinet, are responsible for setting the political parameters of our foreign policy. They politically formulate New Zealand's foreign policy. Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, public servants, are responsible for implementing the policy that the government sets. And of course it is the Foreign Minister's job not only to set the parameters of MFAT's activities, but also to monitor that they're actually implementing, carrying out his instructions in the way he wanted.
Murray McCulley, yeah, I understand that, but Murray McCulley says that it wouldn't be appropriate for him to get involved, considering that also a judicial process was underway as well.
Well, I can understand his sensitivity about the judicial process, but given that this is involved a diplomat from a country which we have close relations and an important trading relationship, I would have thought he would have been following almost on a daily basis, because this is, when I say following, I don't mean interfering in the judicial process, but consulting regularly with his officials to see that everything was on track. And in particular, given the fact the government had indicated early on that it wanted Malaysia to waive diplomatic immunity, I would have thought the government would have been very active in its efforts to persuade the Malaysian government to retract its decision from the moment it knew that the diplomat was returning to Malaysia on the 22nd of May.
Okay.
Instead of apparently... Sorry, yeah.
I was just wondering whether you consider this reflects wider problems within the relationship between the Minister and MFAT?
It could. It could also reflect conflicting objectives. All governments have multiple objectives going on at the same time, and of course we have a free trade agreement with Malaysia. It's the 8th biggest destination for our exports in the world, and so we probably didn't want to do anything to jeopardise that relationship, and were quite sensitive about how this matter was handled. At the same time, we have to make absolutely sure that an unusual event like this, that the person responsible for this appalling act was quickly brought to justice, and that should have been the absolute priority.
I mean, we do have a case going on before the court, so we can't make any judgments on that. But in terms of Murray McCulley, just quickly, should he resign over this?
Oh, it's not my job to make such recommendations, Simon. My job as an academic is perhaps to try to shed some analytical light on what is an unfortunate event in New Zealand foreign policy.
Okay, Robert Patman, thank you very much for your time this morning.